Okay, so let's jump right in today. We're going to be focusing on a group of people that I think we all know,
Oh, for sure.
and frankly, people we really rely on the most. The seemingly unbreakable ones, the
Yeah.
ones who are like these emotional anchors in all the chaos.
Yeah.
They're always the first to help, but they just never ask for it themselves.
And our source material offers this really striking visual for this group. They
Hmm.
carry these huge crises, these burdens, like they are carrying groceries.
Wow. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just suggests this normalcy, this ease with handling things that are, well, frankly, unbearable. But that external stability,
Yeah.
it's masking something profound.
Exactly. And that's really the core paradox we're digging into in this deep dive, right? This idea that strength doesn't mean you're permanent. Strong people break,
They absolutely do.
but they do it in a very specific and often devastating way. They break silently,
That silence is everything. It's the key. And it's an active choice, too, rooted in their biggest fear,
which is what.
becoming a burden. Just the paralyzing fear of becoming a burden to the very people, the very systems are trying so hard to hold together.
So, our mission today is to kind of follow the entire life cycle of this quiet collapse.
Mm.
We want to understand the psychology behind why they retreat into this silence,
Hmm.
what those uh, almost invisible warning signs actually look like, and what this whole thing reveals about, support and dependency.
It's really about finding that critical moment, the moment when all that accumulated weight finally gets heavier than the silence they feel they have to hide behind.
Yeah, and it's a necessary conversation because these people so often go completely under and until they're well, already gone, emotionally at
Or
least.
physically, yeah.
Let's start with the archetype then, the persona of perpetual strength.
Hmm.
Our sources introduce this figure through an example they call Elena.
And when you read about Elena, you immediately picture someone. Everyone has an Elena.
Totally. So what does she look like?
Well, she's the emotional firefighter. She's the one who's always fixing everyone else's problems, but never, ever brings up her own.
She swallows disappointments,
Yeah.
stays even when she's exhausted.
And she smiles even when she's, internally just completely drowning. To the outside world, she's the pillar, stable, reliable, unshakable.
But the source material immediately flips the camera around, right? It shows us the internal contradiction.
It does, and it takes so much energy to manage that persona.
Yeah.
The source has this line. It says she holds her own heart the way a person holds a cracked cup, carefully, gently, pretending everything was okay.
That image of the cracked cup it's so potent. It's managed fragility.
Exactly. And it creates these huge internal conflicts because when you are constantly giving, your kindness starts to feel less like a gift and more like a punishment.
A punishment you inflict on yourself. That line was incredibly sharp. How does that play out day to day for her?
Well, the silence she uses as a shield for others, it becomes her own cage. She can't share, she can't vent. And so her strength, the very thing everyone counts on, starts to feel like this profound, acute loneliness.
So they have this rule they live by.
They do, a harsh one. That they cannot rest, they cannot fall apart in front of others. If they're going to break, it has to be done in secret. Because breaking publicly feels like failing at their one job.
Which makes perfect sense. And because of that, we often assume that when someone like that finally does break, it must have been some huge disaster.
Do one big thing.
Yeah, one big thing. But the sources are really clear on this. They completely debunk the myth of a sudden collapse.
Yes, we have to be really clear about this. For these people, breaking is never sudden. It is slow, it is invisible, and it's meticulously quiet.
Not one massive event, but an accumulation.
An accumulation of what the source calls soft disappointments, little things.
And these soft disappointments, these are the small cuts. They're the things that chip away at them. And on their own, they seem so small, almost trivial.
But it's the accumulation that's devastating. It's the constant repetition of being forgotten by the very people you always remember.
Give us some examples of these quiet wounds.
Oh, it could be anything. One forgotten birthday. Or maybe a text message where they actually showed a little vulnerability and it just got ignored. Or that friend who only ever calls when they need something, never just to check in. These are wounds that have no audience.
The sources even describe them wiping away their tears before they even hit the pillow. It's like this physical act of hiding the evidence.
It is. And that's why their collapse is so hard to spot from the outside. They become experts at containment. The source gives us another really powerful phrase here.
What is it?
It says they are experts at bleeding without making a mess.
Okay, let's unpack that. Leading without making a mess. Psychologically, what does that actually look like?
It's about emotional triage. They're constantly sorting their own needs as secondary, as non-urgent,
So something painful happens to them.
and they don't let it spill. They compartmentalize it immediately. They treat it like a cut you have to bandage up right away so it doesn't stain anything.
Because the mess, for them, is proof of failure.
The mess is proof they can't handle it. And that reinforces their core fear being a burden. The containment is a survival mechanism.
That really reframes strength as this
Mhm.
exhausting, high-performance job. So if the collapse is so slow, what is the actual trigger? What finally makes them snap?
The trigger is almost always anticlimactic.
Really?
Yeah. The source describes just a normal day for Elena, a day like any other day where she held the world together. The snap wasn't catastrophe, it was a sentence. A simple, innocent sounding sentence.
And that sentence was, you always handle everything.
That was it. And in that moment, the weight of everyone's expectations just crushed her internal reality.
It was meant as a compliment, though.
Of course, it was meant to recognize her reliability, but it had the exact opposite effect. It was devastating.
Because it wasn't really recognition. It was just confirmation of her job description.
Yeah.
Permanently.
Exactly. The devastating part was realizing that to everyone else, her strength wasn't an effort. It was a given. It was a piece of furniture. Always there, stable, never needing care. The world's expectation became her exhaustion.
And that exhaustion leads right into the silent breakdown. We think of a breakdown as this loud, chaotic thing, but the sources describe something much quieter.
It's sitting alone in the dark and feeling nothing. Just numb.
Numbness.
And that numbness is the body's final defense mechanism. It's the nervous system just saying, I can't process any more pain, so I'm shutting off. And the source identifies that very numbness as the most dangerous kind of pain.
So if this is also systematic, we have to ask why. Why are these people, as the source puts it, trained by life to suffer so professionally? Let's spend some time on those 5 core psychological reasons.
Yes, this is so critical. If you understand these 5 points, you understand their internal logic and why silence feels like the only safe place to fall apart.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first reason is this pervasive feeling of inconvenience. They were taught, often subtly, that their problems are trivial.
That everyone else's problems are bigger.
Exactly. Everyone else needs more help than I do. It's a self-minimizing habit they learned over years and years.
And if your problems don't matter, why would you even voice them? Which I guess feeds right into the second reason. Forced maturity.
It does. This one often comes from childhood. They were the emotional parents, maybe the peacemakers in their family. They learned very early that their job was to be stable.
And to be stable, you have to hide your own pain to protect others.
You do. And that identity, that heavy cloak, gets worn for a lifetime. So any show of weakness feels like you're betraying your core duty.
Which naturally leads to the third reason, the inability to ask for help.
Right. And intellectually, they know it's not a weakness to ask for help. They know that. But emotionally, because their whole identity is built on giving,
Receiving feels like failure.
complete failure. They can solve everyone else's problems, but they are terrified to say the simple words, I need help.
And that makes them so vulnerable to the fourth reason, the fear of dismissal. I mean, if it takes you years to finally get the courage to say something.
And then you hear, you're overreacting.
Oh, that's crushing.
It's the most devastating response possible because it validates every single voice in their head that told them to just keep quiet. It confirms their problems are, in fact, irrelevant.
And the final one, the fifth reason.
An overwhelming sense of responsibility. They truly believe that everything depends on them, the whole structure.
So if they crack,
The whole ceiling comes down. That's what it feels like. So they have to break silently because it's the only place they feel they have permission to fall apart without taking everyone else down with them.
that gives us such a clear framework for the internal world. So let's pivot. If they aren't having these dramatic meltdowns, what does this look like from the outside? How do we spot this invisible detachment?
The signs are all in subtle behavioral shifts. The main thing you'll see is withdrawal.
And the source has that beautiful metaphor that they don't leave with slammed doors.
They drift away like smoke.
It's so hard to grab onto. So what are the specific shifts we should look for?
They stop replying fast. They used to be the immediate fixer. Now there's a delay, a pause. They stop explaining their feelings. They just default to, I'm tired. Their enthusiasm fades. Their laughter gets softer. They smile less.
And you made a key distinction earlier. They don't get angry, they get distant.
Yes. Anger takes energy. It's an engagement. Distance is a shield. They withdraw like a wounded animal to heal alone. And it's all rooted in this heartbreaking belief they've learned from experience.
What's that?
People love your strength, but they don't know what to do with your weakness.
They believe that if they show that weakness, they'll lose the very people they've worked so hard to keep. So the withdrawal is self-preservation.
It is a very lonely self-preservation. But ironically, that detachment is often the first step they need to take on their path to healing. It's quiet, it's private, but it's where they learn to give themselves permissions they never have before.
Permissions like,
Yeah.
it's okay to rest.
It's okay to cry. It's okay to not hold everything together all the time.
And maybe the hardest one of all.
That their worth is not tied to their usefulness. That their value is just there. And that they deserve softness too.
So when someone is in this quiet healing phase, what do they actually need from us? It's not solutions, right?
No, absolutely not solutions. They need space, they need warmth, and just understanding. They need someone who sees them even when they're not performing strength.
Someone to just acknowledge the problem exists and that they don't have to carry it by themselves.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for us, for the people who rely on them? The sources give us a really practical call to action here. It starts with looking deeper.
Deeper than the steady voice, the calm smile, the automatic, I'm okay.
And the technique is so simple, but it feels so powerful.
It is. When you sense this happening with someone, you have to ask how they really feel. And then, crucially, you have to ask them twice.
Ask them twice. Why the repetition?
Because the first answer is always the script. It's the performance. I'm fine. I've got it.
Right.
Asking a second time breaks the script. It signals that you actually see them, the real person under the role. And then you just have to sit with them and listen. No fixing.
Just listen.
Hmm.
Because that's how we give them the permission they could never give themselves. We create the safety net.
You just have to look them in the eye and give them that genuine assurance. You don't have to be strong with me.
That is a profound thought. We celebrate these people for their strength, but maybe our celebration just adds to the burden.
It can. And the source notes that sometimes just the softest, are you all right, can save a heart that's about to shatter silently. Which leaves us with a final thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
If strength has become their professional identity, if they've been performing stability for decades, is the simple, non-demanding acknowledgement of their exhaustion the first genuine moment of true, unburdened support they've ever been allowed to receive.
That's a perfect encapsulation of this deep dive. We hope this gives you a new lens to view the supposedly unbreakable people in your world.